This is just a short video to explain to the golf study participants how to use MyGolfTracker. So it's a web-based application, so you will need connection to the internet, and you'll need to go to www.mygolftracker.com.au, which is different to the URL showed up here in the address bar. The first thing you'll land on is the home page here, and then the next thing to do will be to select the dashboard, and that will take you inside the software. So we have three main sections here on these blue panels. Sessions where you'll enter information, your profile, and messages. Messages will be where the notifications eventually get sent to after you've got a few weeks worth of data input. My profile is the first place that you need to start. So you come to this page and you can select, put in typical information like your first name, last name, date of birth. Just a little tip with the date of birth. It will start on today's date, and you'll have to select, and rather than going through the months like I'm doing here, if you click on the month, you'll actually get to the year, and now I can more quickly go all the way back to when I was born, many decades ago. And I can select, there you go, there'll be no excuse for forgetting my birthday now. My birthday, you can put some information in your bio, contact information, please enter your golf status information, and any social media things you want to put in there you can put in. So it's a very typical sign up procedure. Your avatar here, this is where you can put your photo. I've picked one that's facing the wrong direction in a bit of a hurry. So try and get one that's facing up the other way. That's actually quite important for this study because we're going to be using this photo of you for future testing rounds where we'll be entering information directly into this software, so your fitness testing results will be instantaneous. You can change your password if you need to, and your settings on that tab as well. So going back to the dashboard, I can now go through entering session information. So you can select today. Now you can see I've entered in some information from yesterday, but if I want to go to today's date, I can select Monday the 9th, and we start the session information with your wellness because this will allow us to make decisions based on how you're feeling. So you may get a notification to give you some direction as to what sort of training you should be doing based on this wellness information. So if I'm going to rate my fatigue, which is the first wellness item, it's rated out of 10. So for all of these wellness categories, if it's a 1, it means you're generally feeling good. If it's a 10, it means you're feeling bad. So it's quite extreme. So my fatigue, if it's a 1, and we've got these sliders here, so you just grab the little circle. If it's on your smartphone, you can just drag and drop it with the touch screen. So if I was feeling extremely fatigued, which actually I am at the moment, it would be a 7, for example. And the fact is, people will rate themselves differently, but as long as you take a similar approach, that is fine and it works out in the end. We've got statistical methods for leveling that out and individualizing it for the individual participant. So muscle soreness, again, I can add that in. Pain and stiffness. How am I going at the moment? I'm a little bit stiff. My muscle soreness is quite low. Been too busy to train enough, but my fatigue is probably going to be up around 6. Illness, luckily not. So I'm going to leave that at 0. Physical training. Strength, I did do a small strength workout today, so my strength session was probably a moderate session, just on the lighter side of moderate. So you can see as I slide, it will increase the intensity level. So the RPE method is where we rate our training out of 10. So 1 being considered to be very light, something akin to walking, the same intensity as a gentle walk. All the way up to 10, which on the Borg scale is considered to be the hardest thing you've ever done, or a maximal effort. So my strength training was a 4 out of 10, and the duration was about 20 minutes, just a short little workout I did. So I can pick the minutes, and all of these training sessions are done like that. So an RPE rating and then minutes. So there's different types of training that you can enter. So there's a little description above each one to explain what it is, but strength training typically involves resistance and slow to medium in speed, and there's different examples given there. Power training is typically where there is a moderate force but there's high speeds involved. So plyometrics, jumping, Olympic lifting, variations, speed-based training. And motor control, now this is where we're doing golf-specific movements. So movements that are directly linked to improving the way you're moving for your golf swing. Continuous aerobic activity. Actually, I did do some motor training today, so I'm going to put that as a light activity, and I did about 10 minutes. Continuous aerobic training can be, again, rated out of 10. I went for a short walk today, so I'm just going to put that as about a 1.5 because it was reasonably brisk, and I did it for about 15 minutes. Injury prevention and rehab, I actually did do that. I'm rehabbing a little bit of an old injury. So again, it was fairly low in intensity, and I did it for about 15 minutes. My cross training, I didn't do any of that today. If I'd played another sport, for example, that would be something that could go in the cross training category. Manual tasks, I did do a bit of that. So again, I'm going to rate it as probably a 1 out of 10. It was fairly general activity, similar to going for a walk, and I did about 3 hours of that in total today. Then we move on to sleep and recovery. So our sleep hours, so total sleep hours, a bit disappointed in myself, but it was only about 6.5 hours sleep last night. Sleep quality was quite good as I was quite tired. So I'm going to give myself an 8 out of 10. So we're rating the quality out of 10. In this case, it's 10 being perfect sleep and 1 being terrible. So if you need to check exactly how the scale is rated, just look at these descriptions. Once you get to know it over the first week or two, you probably won't need to look at them very often again. Self-mobility activities, so activities that are designed to try and increase ranges of motion, but that are quite specific to joints. I did do a little bit of that today, about 15 minutes. Practitioner, if you get treated by a practitioner, let's say you had a 1 hour session, a 1 hour myotherapy or remedial massage treatment, or perhaps it was a 20-minute physiotherapy session, you would include practitioner, any kind of practitioner on there. Stretching, I did a little bit of stretching today, actually did quite well. Done quite a lot of activities for my body today now that I think about it. Cold water immersion, including cold showers, can go in there. Gentle exercise can be considered to be a recovery activity. So you'll notice in the recovery section here that there is no RPE. It's just purely minutes. We don't tend to use the intensity scales for recovery activities. Day sleep, so if you've had a sleep during the day as part of your recovery, again, you can just put the minutes in for that. I didn't get one of those today. Meditation or breathing activities, you can put that in. So if you do 10 minutes of breathing, that could go in there. Then we get to on course. So again, we are going to rate this because it's physical activity, so we're going to give it a rating. So if I was to have gone out on the golf course, I might put that at, say, just slightly more than a gentle walk. I might have it at 1.5 if I'm pulling my buggy or walking over hills. And the on-course practice hours, if it was just going out to play holes, I might have gone out for 9 holes and got round in 2 hours. I could put that in. Or conversely, if it was a competition and it was an 18-hole event of any kind, whether it's a club competition or an amateur event or a professional event, you could put in the hours. So just initially as you're getting used to using the tool, you just need to pay attention to whether it's minutes or hours. We've tried to pick the most convenient measurement unit in all cases so that it makes sense. Technical practice. So this is typically when you are at the driving range or around a practice facility. So it's going to be when you're doing block practice, working on technique, hitting 10, 15, 20, 7 irons in a row would be an example of it. So when you're actually working on your swing or particular types of shots. And again, we give it a rating. Often, for example, if you're just chipping, it might be down the very light end. It might be a 2 or a 1.5. But if you're hitting and practicing long game, it might actually get up around 3, 3.5 as an example. And everyone can rate it how they rate it as long as you're consistent in your approach. But just make sure that you are comparing your technical practice to the gym intensities. So if the gym is a 5 out of 10, then quite possibly the practice might be down as low as a 2.5 because we typically can sustain it for a lot longer. So we might have done an hour of practice at 2.5. If it was long game, that would be how I would rate it. If it was short game, I'd have it down at probably an hour and a half, 1.5 to 2, I should say. Technical practice, again, we're going to break it into different distances, which really ties in well with your golf metrics. So you're actually able to work out whether the practice you're doing is having an impact on the course, which is the whole point of linking and recording the two different types of performance and the way you spend your time. Technical practice, again, so we have different distances that you might be practicing from. Technical practice in the bunkers. So initially you just need to know what all these categories are. Now the main the 3 ways that we divide up the golf activity is on course, technical practice, which is block and technique work as I mentioned before, and competitive practice. So competitive practice might be where you are doing variety-based practice or trying to actually play around on the driving range, so hitting every shot differently or putting yourself under pressure, which is something that a lot of golfers need to do a little bit more of, so we've put that in there as a special category. At the bottom we've got a universal summary notes box here, so you can put in any notes that you think are relevant to any of the sections that you've put in up here. So how your training went in the gym, how your recovery activities have gone, anything that you think is of note that you might want to come back to, or some information about your practice sessions. So you can put some information in here. Recovered well today and swing felt good. So you can put in as much information as you like into that section, and then we're going to click save, and all of a sudden that will be stored, and there'll be some charting and various reports that we can create from inputting this information. But initially it's just making sure that you are able to do that. Okay. And now you can see here that the calendar shows that I have actually put in some information there. If I need to, I can click on it and I can either add a new session. So if I've done some gym work in the morning, recorded that, and then I want to add some further information, I can actually add a second session of whatever I've done. So you don't necessarily have to save it all up for the end of the day. You can scroll down, and I'm just going to cancel that one. The other thing you can do is that you can click on it and actually edit the session that I've inputted. So if I realize that I've actually done something wrong or forgotten something, or I want to re-rate something, I can easily change that on any of these sliders and then just click save at the end. And you can do all of this on your computer or on your smart device. So that should be enough information for now for everyone to get started. Thanks for listening, thanks for taking part in the study, and hope you enjoy MyGolfTracker. Thank you.